Hi everyone, Esper here. Today I'll be doing a rundown for the newest battle program, another Lucifer. This video will mostly be aimed at hard mode, although I believe the mechanics are the same for both modes. Just that hard mode actually limits resurrections to 3, so there is a possibility of failing the dungeon completely and losing your entry for the day. It's best to at least know what's happening before joining a hard mode party. The information here is based on my runs with my static and written guides, which I will credit in the description below. So, without further ado, let's get into the actual boss fight. So, as soon as you load in, Ash will immediately hit the party with a raid wipe, dealing 50k damage to everyone. There is no way to mitigate or avoid this damage, so you do need to make sure that your character has at least 50k HP in combat. It doesn't have to be in hub, but once you enter a sector, it has to be over 50k. From my experience, having Black Trigger on doesn't increase the damage taken from this mechanic, so you don't need to worry about turning off Black Trigger for this one. After this, it's best to immediately heal up through potting or activating your pet skill, as any follow-up attacks from Ash here can easily kill you. His normal attacks can hit quite hard, so it's best to pay attention when they're happening. So at 95 bars, the next mechanic of the fight will trigger. Ash will teleport to the center and do a short transition cutscene. After this, you'll need to pay attention to the red text at the top of the screen. These tell you what to do for this mechanic. If any party member fails the mechanic, it's an instant wipe. For the first part of the text, it'll be either come or fall back. Come means you should get close to him, fall back means you should stay away. The dividing part seems to be the edge of the white circle, so adjust accordingly and don't cause a wipe. For the second part, it will be either praise or despise me. Praise means face towards him, despise means face away. There will be an indicator for this as well. The eye will have a cancel sign over it if you need to look away, otherwise you look towards him. So this ends with 4 different patterns he can say. So come and praise me means you get in and face Ash. Come and despise me means you get in, look away from Ash. Fall back and praise me means get out, face Ash. And fall back and despise me, get out and look away from Ash. At 85 bars, the next mechanic will start. This is randomly chosen between Spotlight or Tentacles. The mechanic that isn't chosen basically just won't happen. For Spotlight, a beam of light will shine down on every party member. Shortly afterwards, you'll see a targeting reticule appear on your character, followed by a series of attacks. You can perfect dodge or iframe these, but I personally recommend just spamming iframe moves, as it is much easier than trying to time perfect dodges. After the attacks end, the party will be hit with an unavoidable raid wipe. The damage of this raid wipe is dependent on how many times the party was hit during the Spotlight, as the damage isn't dealt all at once. It's possible to survive with pet skill and potting, but if the party has taken too many hits during the Spotlight phase, you'll most likely just straight out get wiped. The alternate mechanic is Tentacles. So 2 random players in the party will be targeted and bound. Tentacles will then spawn under these players and start doing quite a bit of damage. The intended way to solve this mechanic is to have the players that are 3 kill the tentacles, but be careful as the tentacles will bind anyone that touches them. Alternatively, and the only way for parties of less than 3 players, is for the bound players to use slash escape to teleport their character to the bottom left. They'll still be bound, but they'll be free from the tentacle damage until they're released. Be aware that if you're caught in mid-air by the tentacles, you can't actually use slash escape. Another thing is to make sure that you're not adjacent to another player when tentacles happen, as this can result in the two sets of tentacles spawning in the same place. When this happens, the 2 players that are caught will just straight up die really quickly. For example, my friend and I died here with basically no time to type in anything after the tentacles spawn. One last thing regarding tentacles is that they persist through the fight for a long time if you don't kill them. So even if you use escape to avoid them, it's recommended that you kill the tentacles to make the later mechanics easier. Otherwise you can randomly wander into them while doing the later mechanics and die. So the next mechanic will occur at 75 bars, you'll get a short transition cutscene again, and Ash will teleport to the center, become invulnerable for the duration. He'll also spawn a blade at each cardinal direction, So this mechanic is resolved by running around and picking up the blades, then dropping the AoE on top of Ash. More blades will spawn in random locations as they are picked up. Note that even though the AoE looks dangerous, it actually does nothing to your character. This isn't like Asmo where you need to perfect dodge the anchor drop. So basically just pick up the sword, run to Ash, drop off the AoE. He'll take a set amount of damage each time a sword is dropped on top of him. There is definitely enough time to pick up a second blade before the first blade drops, so if you're doing it solo or in a two-man party, I'd recommend picking up multiple blades per drop, so you can progress the fight faster. The timer here is fairly forgiving as long as your party doesn't waste too many blades. The next mechanic comes at 60 bars. As usual, we'll get a short transitional cutscene. Ash will teleport to the middle and cast a knockback on the entire party this time. A black puddle will also spawn underneath him. Touching this black puddle is an instant kill, so be wary and don't position yourself too close to the middle when he's about to reach 60 bars, if you can. Sometimes you'll get unlucky and the knockback will basically throw you inside the black water with no chance of reacting. For this mechanic, a blue circle safe zone will appear to the right side of the boss. Basically, touching this circle will spawn a second circle to the top side of the boss. Touching the top side circle will then spawn a third circle to the bottom side of the boss. And finally, touching the bottom side circle will spawn a fourth circle to the left side of the boss. Each circle can only hold one player, so once you've got a circle, you just sit there until the mechanic is over. And try not to have two players in one circle at the same time. Those two players will die. So after this, our next mechanic comes at 50 bars. Once again, we should get a short transitional cutscene, followed by a party-wide knockback once again. After this, all of the party members will be marked with a giant red AoE. These AoEs follow you around until they're about 60 to 70% filled, after which they'll remain still, and you can basically drop them off. You want to spread out the party here and drop these red AoEs away at the edges of the map if possible. After the AoEs fill, the chains will drop down and the marked areas will explode again. So you basically just fight Ash while avoiding these. At 45 bars, we'll enter the final phase of the fight. Ash will start marking the field with red AoEs. These will have directional arrows showing where the air bullets will go, and you should be avoiding these. If you're hit, you'll be flung in the direction of the air bullet while taking heavy damage. These can look intimidating at first, but the easy way to play this phase is to stick to Ash and follow him wherever he teleports to. Ash will always be in a safe space from the air bullets, and the air bullets are also iframeable if you do find yourself caught out. So you can use an iframe move to get back into range or back into a safe zone. At 30 bars, Ash will teleport to the right side of the arena and fire a ball of wind towards the center of the arena. The text at the top of the screen will say something like, "This is for my unpredictable sister," when this happens. The ball itself won't do anything to you, but once it reaches the center, it will explode and create a tornado around the arena. This renders the edges of the arena unsafe. If you touch the edges of the arena without cancel up, you'll likely just die. The tornado death zone makes the air bullets more lethal here as a result. This continues until he reaches 1 bar, where we get one last mechanic similar to the opening of the fight. Instead, this time it's an unavoidable 100k damage hit. And this time, Black Trigger does affect the damage output, so the Black Trigger will cause you to take around 127k damage instead of 100k. So the only way to survive this is for the party leader to activate the J buff, which increases the party member's max HP. This is the only dungeon skill that's compulsory to activate for this fight, so if you have a lower number of players in your party, say 1 or 2, then it's best to save your dungeon skill for the J buff only. After that, just finish off the final bar and you're done with Ash. Congratulations. That's it for another Lucifer. Let me know if I missed anything or if there's another piece of content you'd like me to do a rundown for in the future. Thanks for watching.